swag vibe, baby.
Welcome to the Cup of Joe Show, where we explore the journey of recovery from alcohol and drug addiction. One story, one conversation, and one step at a time. I'm your host, Joe, creating a safe space for honest discussions about the challenges and triumphs of addiction and alcoholism. In each episode, we'll hear inspiring stories and uncover tools that make healing possible. Sobriety is not a one-size-fits-all journey, and you don't have to face it alone. Recovery is possible, and it's worth it. Thank you for joining the Cup of Joe Show. Now let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Cup of Joe Show. I'm your host, Joe, and I'm really excited to bring you a very happy Thanksgiving. This is our special episode, so no matter where you're listening from and what this day looks like for you, today's episode is a special one just for you. We're slowing things down and leaning into a theme, which is something that is pretty new to the show. And the theme that we're going with today is gratitude. Not the surface level be thankful message we hear once a year, but the real gritty, lived in gratitude that shows up in recovery, in the chaos, in the rebuilding, and in the quiet moments when we realize just how far grace has carried us. I'm joined today by two people whose stories have inspired so many of you and me. I consider both people close friends, sober confidants, and folks who I aspire to be when I grow up. For the first half of the show, we'll be talking with my sober sister and sometimes recovery mom, Debbie N., whose episode, A Moment of Clarity, Debbie N. on 14 Years of Sobriety, touched many and was released in January of 2025. Debbie has been sober since September 21st, 2010, and she's joining me today to talk about how gratitude has shaped her life, her relationships, and her recovery. So grab a cup of coffee, take a deep breath, and settle in. This is our Thanksgiving gratitude special, and I'm glad you're here. Debbie, how are you doing today?
Well, Joe, I am better than I deserve. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Well, happy Thanksgiving to you, and that makes two of us.
Yeah.
So let's just jump into it. When you first came into recovery, how did you understand gratitude?
I did not. I came into a room full of people, America's Most Wanted Wall, I called them. An entire group of people with what appeared to me to be decades of sobriety, and they were all laughing and joking. And I was mad as a hornet, and I did not want to be there, but I really had no place else to go. And there wasn't a darn thing funny in my life. My marriage was tenuous. My daughter was distant. I was still probably detoxing. I came in at 35, 36 days. There was just no gratitude. There was not. I didn't even realize that each and every day, clean and sober, was a day to be celebrated. I was just hanging on.
So was there a moment that shifted, that your perspective changed?
I don't think so. I think the first time I felt it was I was at the mall with my daughter, and I was having a proverbial good day, and I was kind of laughing and joking around, and she wheeled around and looked me right in the eye, and she said, "Are you high?" And I looked at her and I said, "Well, no." And there was this feeling, this internal feeling. I understood that she did not trust me. And I got that. But it didn't bother me because I was telling the truth. I was telling the truth. And I looked at that whole episode right then, right there, as I think I've got work to do. Um, my biggest fear was losing her. I put her through a living hell, and I did some things that I'll never be able to take back or change. The biggest being I overdosed in front of her. I cannot unring that bell. But I think that was the first time that I felt what gratitude was, um, in a weird way, in a weird way. And it kind of comes and goes, you know. I mean, Lord knows I am not. Okay, there you are. So, note to self: don't play with the phone when you're talking. Never mind. I'm grateful I can laugh when I make mistakes too. I am what I am, Joe, as you well know. I am grateful to be alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That took a long time for me to realize that I wasn't saving a marriage or a life or a lifestyle, that I was saving my life. That took a long time to sink in. So
So, what are some specific ways you keep gratitude alive, you know, in your life?
my mornings are sacred, absolutely sacred. Um, I like to spend as much time as I can alone with readings and God. I like to keep in contact with my sober buddies, but I like to keep in contact with newcomers also, or people that are having, men and women that are having a difficult time. Um, I don't know that I keep gratitude alive, because I can honestly tell you there are times when I feel like there is no gratitude in my life, and I don't feel it. Um, Sometimes my attitude will reflect that, but I keep trudging. I just keep trudging. And eventually I look back and I'm like, there's the lesson. I was so worried when I came in that I had to do this right. I needed a gold star on my step work. And I didn't realize, that only the first step mentioned anything. I mean, I was pretty sick, pretty cloudy, you know.
Well, that kind of, you kind of said something that I think, you know, um, you think gratitude is something we feel, or do you think it's something we practice even when we don't feel it?
Practice, practice. I don't try and make myself feel gratitude, because that, to me, it's kind of manipulating my life, trying to get my life to be a certain way, a control, you know. Um, that's a tough question. I try and practice gratitude. I say please and thank you, and I do all the right things. Sometimes for not the right reason, just because I'm supposed to. I just keep doing it. And then sometimes I feel it and I know it's there. It just depends. I know my first sponsor always says it's real easy to feel gratitude and be spiritually fit when things are going your way. But boy, let them not. And that internal person, she's still there, alive and well. Absolutely. Um, I just keep doing it. End of story. The phrase I always hated the most was, this too shall pass. Oh, please give me a time and a date, and I need that in stone. Um, and it's true, this too shall pass. I just don't have any idea when.
Yeah, that's You mentioned trudging too, and that was always one of my
Yeah.
favorite, one of the first words I think I learned
Mhm.
from old sponsor Mikey. Uh, you know, moving forward with purpose. And I just love the word trudge because I
Yeah.
find that you know most of the time that's what I'm doing with my life. I'm not moving fast, I'm not things aren't going perfectly, but I'm still moving forward,
Yeah. Yeah.
generally
Yes.
speaking.
Yes.
And I couldn't say that when I was out there. My life was not moving forward. My life was a complete mess. And so uh something I wanted to touch on too, Deb, is like so Thanksgiving is kind of like I always heard it called the Bermuda Triangle of
Hmm.
recovery.
Yeah.
It's the first of you have Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. It can be challenging for people.
And the Super
Um,
Bowl.
and the Super Bowl. Yeah, really, really,
Yeah, it
without a
can be
doubt.
challenging. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I like when I was chairing meetings on a regular basis. If I happened to hit this time of year, I always did the hungry, angry, lonely, tired right off the bat. It was drilled into my head early on. Um, I tried to go to as many meetings as I could. Just kind of draw you closer in and share the honesty with you and Carrie. You two, I can tell exactly what I'm feeling or going through. And I trust you both to just listen, and nobody tries to fix you or anything. But I do remember the first meeting I went to sober, because I came in September. So I didn't have much time under my belt when the Bermuda Triangle rolled up. And the only thing I could be thankful for was that I had put the turkey in the oven and I had turned the oven on, because I did remember the time when I put the turkey in the oven, did not turn the oven on, and passed out. Um, so it's those little things. It's those little things that count. That was the only thing I could be thankful for. Uh,
Yeah, that's a big deal.
it
That's a big
is.
deal.
Everything's a big deal when you're new. Gosh,
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Sometimes everything's still a big deal. Yeah.
So, was there a person in your life, a person in recovery maybe, who taught you how to practice gratitude or showed you by example?
It was a group of people. Um, it was the High Nooners group. I went to a lot of meetings, multiple meetings a day. I was unemployed and unemployable. And there was this little tiny nudge in my soul that said, if you stay home, it's not going to end very well. Um, and I watched people. I heard the darndest things that people did, especially around this time of year when they were new. Um, and some of them I did. I just watched them. Um, I wanted to be like America's Most Wanted wall. I really did. They had this ease about them, like whatever life threw their way, they would be okay. I remember one fella coming in and sharing when his son committed suicide. And I'm like, how do you get through that? There were just so many. There were just so many. And there were a couple crusty old timers too that would just let me have it with both barrels, because, I was an expert at a lot of things. Um, Unfortunately, I was not very much an expert on how to live life clean and sober at the tender young age of 53. So I don't think there was just a person. I think it was a whole group of people. I was really, really fortunate and blessed that I stumbled into that room. I really was. I really was. Uh,
America's Most Wanted wall.
I know.
I love it. I got to be a part of that wall later
Yeah, me
on,
too.
coming in after, but
Yeah, yeah.
I remember that well. But
You and I sat beside each other, second row, for a while, uh, staring at America's Most Wanted wall because you and I were not very happy. Um, Gosh, guys, if you're new, just hang on, man. I think a large part of my gratitude is that I went through all that nasty mess internally and in my head. I went through it, and the gratitude is I don't have to go through that again. Oh Lord, that was just an awful time when I look back. Um, and I'm grateful that it was. If it had been a piece of cake, I don't know that I would have made it. You know, I already told myself in my head with some of the stories I heard, well, I'm not that bad. Well, if I ever got that bad, I didn't even know it was me in the room. Gosh. And so when I'm with a newcomer and I see that look in the eye, oh my gosh, I just got a picture. I was working with a woman. She probably has, I don't know, 6 months, and she just sent me a picture of her baby. Man, I'm just, there it is right there. There it is right there. I got to be a part of her life at her worst. Oh, what an honor and a privilege. Holy cow. Holy cow. Who would have thought? Who would have thought when I stumbled into that room? Who would have thought?
it
Yeah.
really is. Those
Ah,
are the things we will not want to miss. You know.
no, I'm getting all teary eyed, and I have a
Oh,
reputation as a crusty old biddy. So, oh, goodness me. Goodness me.
I do not look at you that way.
Ah, thank you. Thank you.
So, how has gratitude changed the way you show up for your family?
Oh, wow. Uh, Sometimes not well. um, mm, well, gosh, they're still here. And I'll just be honest for everybody. Sometimes I look at them and I'm like, why are you still here after the way I treated you and the things that I did? And then there's other times I look at them and I'm like, man, I would have missed this opportunity with my family. Uh, my One of my biggest fears was, that I had burnt the bridge with my daughter. That was just a huge fear, overwhelming. And her and I've had some knockdown dragouts. Um, but I got to be there. I got to be there for that. I got to be a mom again. I get to do stuff, Joe. I've decided I'm going to learn to cook at 67. I get to do these things these days, and I have the sweetest man on earth. He won't hear this podcast, so he'll never know I said that. And he eats this stuff I put in front of him. And I'm like poking at it like, this is not very good, is it? And God bless him, he'll eat it. I get to do that stuff today. And I get to promise him I won't make it again. And I get to laugh. I get to laugh. I'm a little bit goofy, as you know. And I get to laugh today.
In a
And
beautiful,
sometimes my family looks at me like, okay.
it's
Oh, Lord.
It's a beautiful thing. It really is. And you know, and this question probably you just kind of answered it in a way, but you know, how do we express gratitude without words? You know,
I stay clean and I stay sober, and I don't ever do anything that would cause either one of my family to ever think that I've gone back out. I don't rehash anything of the past with them. They don't want to hear it. That was enough for them. They already lived through it one time. Um, I I do the very best I can to be a good steward of the principles, practicing the principles in all my affairs. I fall short a whole bunch, especially in my mind's eye. But I told myself coming in, I would never get to a point, I would not want to get myself to a point that a family member looked at me and said, "Do you need to go to a meeting?" And so far, neither one have ever said, "Do you need to go to a meeting?" Neither of them have ever really looked at me and said, "Are you okay?" Uh, I just keep trudging. I keep trudging.
yeah,
I got to be there, when my husband's brother passed away, and this disease had a lot to do with him passing early. I got to be there for my husband on a really to walk through a really terrible experience for him. I got to be there to be the rock, you know? Yeah, I got to be there. With my daughter, I get phone calls from her occasionally, and I get to be there just to listen, just to listen. I'm really good at trying to fix things, and I've been put in my place a lot for trying to do that. I'm a slow learner. Um, I do the best I can, Joe, with where I am today. you know, I do the best I can.
I think you do pretty well. Um, so how do you help like sponsees or other people find gratitude when they're stuck in pain and or anger?
I rarely say this too will pass. I hate that expression, especially when you're new. Sometimes I'm really fortunate in that I have a similar experience that I can share, and say, "Oh, yeah, I remember that." Um, Sometimes I can offer a suggestion um, of resources outside of a 12-step program. Sometimes I can just listen and let them get it off their chest. It just depends on the situation, on what they're going through. You know,
No, just being able to relate to people,
that
you know.
helps. Yeah, yeah.
That's I think one of the when people share similar experiences or empathy and or maybe just listen, I think it's a way to say me too, you know, you're not
Mhm.
alone.
Yeah,
I've been through these things too and have come out the other side. That stuff's a big deal, you know.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's interesting, I haven't worked with like, thousands of women. Please don't give anybody that suggestion. But a lot of times, at least for the women that I have grown closest to, they have always said they they never felt judged when they talked with me. And I didn't realize how important that was for somebody to be pouring their heart out, and you say, "Oh yeah, get over it." I mean, that boom hammer thing. Um, I may not have been through what they're going through, but shoot, I might. You never know. You know, um,
For sure.
I'm not sure that's a sponsor or just a friend. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
You
I
know.
think either or, is important. And we have impacts on people through recovery. I know for me, uh, I think one of the best things has been able to help people who aren't even in recovery. I have more understanding. I kind of go to think of the St. Francis prayer. Not always, but when I'm spiritually fit, I really do try to practice that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Better to understand than to be understood. And it's better to love than to be loved. It's better to comfort than to be comforted. And I think that's part of gratitude, when I'm
Yeah.
spiritually fit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, when I'm
Yes.
not, when I'm not, Deb, somebody better love
Well,
me.
yeah, I'm a master, manipulator and liar. So a lot of times when I'm not spiritually fit, if I can rein in the mouth, people don't know it. You know, I can smile and nod my head. Maybe that's all it takes for someone, you know. Those dark times that I've gone through in recovery when I don't understand. That's always the thing. It's like I just don't understand. What am I supposed to get here? I have a couple of people. You're one of them, but I have a very small group that I can call and I depend upon. And I'm pretty honest about help me understand this, or help me find my part in this. That makes me truly blessed right there. Truly blessed. Yeah, I have a couple of people that I know I could call at 3 in the morning, and they would answer the phone and talk me in off the ledge. Mm. That is, I have not had that ever in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I can tell you, I always one of um, one of the things, and it's just I always go to it because it was so helpful to me. I remember when I was going to make amends to you may remember this, the mother of my child. And I was very bitter, very angry, very resentful for a long time. And
yeah,
I was going to make amends. And I called you I wanted to, I kind of read out what my amends, I needed your, guidance. Cause I respected your guidance and I wanted it. And I remember you saying, Joe, that amends is all about you.
yeah,
and and it really, after the sting went away, it really saved me because I could have went in there with a totally different attitude than what you suggested I do. And today, you know, all of that stuff has been, I don't know if she's forgiven me, but I know that I don't carry that anymore and I don't live that way anymore. And I know that it changed our entire relationship. It really did, for the best, and for my daughter for the best. And
yeah,
we're great co-parents. And I
yes,
go back to that
yeah.
moment. So something I'm very grateful for from you.
I
Uh,
learned the hard way on amends. I was cautioned not to make my amends until I knew what I was sorry for. And of course, I did not listen. Imagine that. And I made my amends to my husband on what I thought I was exceptionally spiritually fit that day, and it did not end well for me. Because I had no idea what I had done. Nothing, nothing. I was just real sorry. And boy, I'll tell you, he turned and he let loose with both barrels. and it involved my daughter and burning bridges, my big fear. And I sat there and I had to listen to that because I thought, oh, this is what they meant. Don't make your amends before you know what you're sorry for. Uh, so maybe I had my own faux pas to guide you. Ooh, I still remember that. Oh boy, that was very uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. And I knew I could not say a word uh, because I didn't know what I was sorry for. Not at all. Not at all.
And
Ugh,
I'm of course would never want you to have to go through that, but you know, it's amazing that that's the type of experience. That's where I'm, because you went through that, I didn't have to,
yeah,
you know. I'm gonna get teary-eyed thinking about that, and I'm sorry that you went through that, but
that's
I'm
part of the gratitude. I sent you a little blurb of that a picture, and that's part of my gratitude is that I went through that. It did sting. It was very uncomfortable, but I did not pick up. I did not run. I did not use, and I learned. And I learned. Um, when somebody tells me something, I have to look and listen at that. Not everything that I'm told is the truth, but the sting goes away. I always say, a knot snatched in my tail by some of the old timers early on. And like a puppy, I just kept going back for more. And boy, I'll tell you, some of the stuff they said just cut me off at the knees. But I would go home, mad and hornet, and think about it, and they were right. Oh Lord, have mercy, they were right. Uh, I learned. I'm hard headed, very hard headed, um, and sometimes I have to learn by the brutal honesty and truth. None of them were brutal just to be brutal. They never attacked my character or anything like that. But that was the only way I could hear sometimes was a two by four, So, so the
the old two by four,
old two by
very
four.
very gentle, very gentle.
Oh, yeah.
So what are you most grateful for this Thanksgiving?
Oh, well, my daughter is here. Uh, Came in from Nashville. I turned the oven on the turkey. The life that I had before I came into the rooms, I am grateful for now. Um, the outside stuff, a roof and food and clothing. I'm grateful for a creator that forgave me for every single thing that I said and that I did, who every now and then hits me with a two by four. Um, I'm grateful for the men and women who've our paths have crossed. Some we're still around together. Some are just you know one shots. I'm grateful to be alive. Absolutely over the moon to wake up in the morning knowing today is a clean slate and I don't have to live that way anymore. I just don't.
Pretty powerful. Um,
And I don't want to. Maybe should be added. And I don't want to. I
yeah.
don't want to live that way anymore. I still don't remember everything I said and did. And I'm grateful for that. Uh, yeah. Yeah. I woke up this morning. How about that?
That's pretty good. Pretty good
How
gratitude. Yes,
about that? Yeah.
that's pretty
It's
awesome.
sometimes it's just the simple things.
Yeah,
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 for
yeah.
sure. Um, what's that? There's an old saying. It says, I once complained about my shoes until I met a
Hmm.
man with no feet. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
Um, so
yes.
what message of gratitude would you like to leave for someone listening who might be struggling today?
It's absolutely okay to struggle today, and it is okay to struggle tomorrow. Sometimes life is a struggle, but the trudging through will get you to the other side of it. I don't know when, that's the hard part. And you don't have to go back out. There's a friend that we know whose son just passed away. I can't imagine that kind of pain. I just cannot. But she's trudging through. Someday she will look back and there will be some blessing in this. I don't know what it is. I can't even imagine what it would be. If she can do it, I can do it. You know, if she can
Amen.
do it, I can do it. I don't have any big pressing issues today in my life and I'm grateful for that. But I know that the rosy cloud I'm on, it won't last forever. There's going to be some more struggling days ahead, and it's okay to struggle through them. Don't drink, don't use. It, I remember my first sponsor saying, it's so painfully simple, you're going to miss it. you know, have there been times in sobriety that I wanted to go back out? You betcha. I'm a drunk and a junkie. you know, that is my first thought sometimes. I remember Linda Kokendorfer, one of my first meetings, and her dog was mauled by a coyote, and she said she had, I don't know, 100,000 years in program, it seemed like. And she said, my first thought was, it'll take a big bottle of vodka to fix this. And I thought, oh, after all this time, it's okay to think about it. It's what makes me different. The main problem of the alcoholic lies in his mind. I am bodily and mentally different. I don't beat myself up for that anymore. I am who I am, says Popeye. If you're struggling, pick up the phone and call someone. You never know, they may be struggling also. And the two of you guys can struggle together as you trudge through. Go to a meeting and talk about it. Get on your knees and ask for help. If you're really new and can't do any of this, go to Walmart and organize their shelves. Do something. Do something other than sit in it. Sitting in it will not end well. It just won't. It just won't. Get busy living or get busy dying, one of the two. Yeah. Yeah.
Man, thank you so much, Deb. And Deb sent me a right before we were coming on. She sent me a really nice thing. I was going to wait till the end to read it, but I think I'm going to read it now since Jacko's going to be coming on to do the next part of the show. So before Debbie goes, if it's okay, Deb, do you want me to read this or do you want to read it?
I think you better, because if I start messing with my phone again, you were there and then you weren't. And I'm like, okay. um,
Fair
in all
enough.
fairness, that I got this off of a morning reading that I received. I did not write this. I wished I had, but I did not write this, and I don't know who did.
Still beautiful.
It
So
is, isn't it?
so I'm going to
Go
share it
ahead.
with you all. It's on gratitude. To be grateful for the good things that happen in our lives is easy, but to be grateful for all of our lives, the good as well as the bad, the moments of joy as well as the moments of sorrow, the successes as well as the failures, the rewards as well as the rejections, that requires hard spiritual work. Still, we are only truly grateful people when we say thank you to all that has brought us to the present moment. As long as we keep dividing our lives between events and people we would like to remember and those we would rather forget, we cannot claim the fullness of our beings as a gift of God to be grateful for. Let us not be afraid to look at everything that has brought us to where we are now and trust that we will soon see it in the guiding hand of a loving God. Debbie, thank you so much for joining me today, and happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. And don't forget to turn the oven off when the turkey is done.
I knew there was something else.
I
I love you, my friend, and
love
happy
you too.
Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Jack.
All right. Thank you, Deb.
Thanks.
It's just a laid back vibe, baby.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for the second half of the show. I'm really excited to have my good friend, my brother in recovery, my brother from another, so to speak, Jack O, or as I call him, J to the A, who just celebrated 17 years of sobriety. You may remember Jack from the very first episode of this podcast. It's titled 16 Years Sober. Jack O's retail revelation kicks off the Cup of Joe show. Jack brings honesty, humor, and heart, and I can't wait for you to hear what gratitude looks like in his life today. How you doing, Jack?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful, Joe. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate
Um, so
appreciate you letting me do this.
well, I'm so grateful that you are doing it. And so I guess just to get into it, when you first came into recovery, how did you understand gratitude?
Well, considering I knew that was the first question, uh, gosh, Joe, I didn't even know what that word meant. I was to sum it up. I guess I would say I was happy when things were going my way. When as long as I was getting what I want when I wanted it. Uh, it's hard not to be grateful then, but the little things that now I'm especially grateful for, I just took all that stuff for granted. I didn't appreciate family, friends, relationships, just none of that. It was so materialistic. Um, it, and my happiness was based on what I had. Uh, that I could see and touch, if that makes sense.
No, it absolutely does. And was there a moment when your perspective shifted that you remember? You know?
Yeah, there was a huge moment. You know, uh, I hear this a lot, but most of us didn't arrive in sobriety with soaring on the wings of angels, so to speak. It when you when you for me, I arrived here with essentially nothing. Uh, a shell of a body, a brain half cooked, and a gas spirituality gas tank that was essentially empty. Um, and starting basically, we kid around when you get a sobriety day, it's your rebirth day. Yeah, it's like being born again. You're starting at square one. So, and starting at square one, it makes you appreciate just everything, just a good meal, a good night's sleep, uh, knowing where you put things. I mean, just yeah, having a few dollars in your pocket that you know you're not going to go out and blow on something that is just going to continue to ruin your life. Um, so yeah, it was. I'd say this this time around when I was sober about 7 days, 10 days, or whatever, the reality of what was going on was starting to sink in.
So, do you think gratitude is something we feel or something we practice even when we don't feel it?
I don't even know if feeling it is the best way to describe it for me. Gratitude is something that for me, I literally experience it every day. Right now, I'm sitting in Salt Lake City, Utah right now. Uh, being of help to my kids or my grandkids, moving them into a new house. And you know what moving's like. It's a hell of a lot of work. And there's a lot of physical stuff and logistics and all of it and everything. But just the experience of being involved in it or being invited to be involved in it, which is kind of, that didn't happen before. Uh, but the experience is to watch these kids and the happiness that they're experiencing moving into this new house, and our kids and our grandkids, and my wife's joy with just being here. Um, there's been a lot of sweat effort, but would I trade it for anything? Absolutely not. Uh, so it's the experience. It's just sitting back and just saying, and you and I have called these before. They're pinch me moments. Like, oh, look, is this really happening? Wow, this is cool. So I don't know if that makes sense, but it's not really a feeling. It's an experience.
No, it makes a lot of sense, and like you said, it's like I mean, it's the beauty like of having a friendship like you and I have is we've experienced some of this stuff together,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, wow, is this real?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
this is not what I expected life to be,
Mhm.
sober. So what are some specific ways you kind of keep gratitude alive in your daily life?
Well, I've been really blessed with fantastic sponsors. First Mike, as you know, and then David and Jack, and and I think one of the best things we can have in recovery is a good memory of how bad things were, at least for me when I arrived here. It's a very vivid reminder about a life that I don't want to return to, um, without having that, quote, experience, or, as you call them, feelings, because those experiences were horrific. They were bad. They were horrible. They were just awful. Uh, Getting up in the morning and not knowing what the day had in front of you in any way, shape, or form, or constantly looking over your shoulder, uh, knowing that someone was either looking for you, not in a good way, um, or you're hiding out from things. And we've talked about this before about, you're constantly hiding from something, either a lie or a behavior or an action, and um, that stuff sometimes is very, very fresh in my mind. And when I get up, like even this morning, I look around and I'm thinking, oh, hey, I don't have to do that anymore. And I didn't have to do it yesterday. And it's such a load and a relief to not have to feel that way or experience that anymore. And you look around and you see the beautiful sky and the mountains, and people are happy to be around you. It's hard not for me to have gratitude, Joe. It really is hard not for me to have gratitude.
Well, with Thanksgiving, it kind of starts we call it the Bermuda Triangle of
Yeah.
holidays.
Yes, yes.
With Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, and it was funny. Debbie even mentioned. She said, "Don't forget about the Super Bowl." I
Right,
said,
right,
"Well,
right.
yeah, I guess that counts too."
Yeah.
How do you stay grateful during like the tough seasons or when things aren't exactly going your way?
Well, and Joe, you probably know me better than anybody. And the people I love are sometimes the most difficult to be around. And I hear this from other people in recovery too. And a lot of times, and being a few years sober and everything, it's I'm just now starting to learn to stay in my own lane about stuff. to not have an opinion about other people's affairs and activities, and defending my position about stuff, and and voicing my idea, because some people just, they don't give a crap about my idea, my opinion, and the way you learn that in recovery is by trial and error. You speak up and you're like, ooh, I probably shouldn't have said that. um, so I'm still learning it, and holidays are stressful times. They're a lot of people, a lot of moving parts, a lot of family moving parts, people coming and going. Um, but just to be around those folks and to be a part of their lives, um, and not send them away with a sour taste in their mouth, is kind of the goal. A good friend of ours always tells you that the best way to stay out of trouble is to breathe and drink water, and that way you don't open your mouth. Uh, and I find it to be true that it works. Um, you know, be happy in the moment, and you know, don't be the center of attention, or don't try to be the center of attention. Take your turn when it comes to being a part of a conversation. Just very, very simplistic things that uh, normal people kind of take for granted. People in recovery, I mean, I got to work at this stuff every day. So I'm going to keep doing that.
No, you're not alone. It's certainly, I think, it's a practice. What you're saying is it's a practice, and I
It
think
is a
that's important for
practice.
people to know.
Yeah.
Um, so it is, and is there a person in recovery who taught you about the practice of gratitude, or someone who you kind of looked to and said they led by example type of deal?
Yeah, Joe, I'm active. I believe I'm pretty active and visible in recovery and stuff like that. And I watch people go through difficult times. They'll turn up at a meeting and you'll talk to them afterwards and stuff like that. And they'll describe like a situation, a family situation, a work situation. And, you have empathy, which is something I didn't have when I was drinking it either. But you feel where they are. And once again, you get to experience how they deal with it and how they accept what's going on around them, and they find a good in it. They find that God's leading them in a direction, and uh, Mike used to call these teachable moments, um, where you're actually learning from them about how they get to the other side of things with a lot of grace and joy, and as much happiness as they can muster. But they get through it, and typically have learned something, um, and are grateful for it. So I think a lot of watching and learning from others, and I can't uh, just give you a handful of people. I think it's a lot of people in recovery.
I always think of old Tom Wells, who always used to say, everybody's a teacher. They
Yeah.
either teach us how to
So,
act or how not to.
yeah, what to
Yeah.
do and what not to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, um, how do you express gratitude in your relationships without using words?
Um, you, you know, um, doing something for somebody and not saying a word to anybody is, if you can do that on the sly, it is always a really cool feeling for me. Um, and watching them kind of find out after the fact, you know. Uh, Sometimes a smile. Sometimes just somebody sits down to you, down next to you at a meeting, and you, excuse me, you kind of reach around them, give them a pat on the back, or something like that. Uh, Even smiling at people. When it, and that's the other thing. When you run in the tribe that we run in, and the road dogs, the trudging buddies, right? You can tell when one of our fellows is struggling visibly, and you want to offer them that warm face, that warm smile, that the eyes of concern. Hey, what's going on? And people can read that in your actions. Um, so trying to just be visibly caring. I don't know how you describe that otherwise, but that's the way I would describe it.
No, I think that's a perfect way to describe it. And I think, something you mentioned that's important is, for people listening out there that, find your people. You always talk about it, Jack. Find your people in recovery because they can tell when you need, just by how you look or your actions or whatever, they can tell maybe something's off, or you might have a need. And that's how we help each other. It's one of the ways we help each other, I think.
It's funny. I have one guy I play golf with, and some days your golf game's great, and other days it's just like, why am I playing this game? And the days that are just not, things aren't clicking and everything, he'll look at me. I'll hit a ball out of bounds, and hey, do you need a hug? and, and he'll come over and give me a hug on the golf course, and I'm like, all right, I hope nobody saw us, you know. But yeah, it's what we do. We care about one another,
Yeah.
and we continue to do that.
So maybe in a different, tougher way to show gratitude, I guess, with this question is, have you ever found gratitude for someone who hurt you?
Uh Gosh, that's a tough one. Um, yeah, the the person that comes to mind is my first wife. Um, our relationship was really, really difficult and ended in separation and divorce and stuff like that. But and we both had our faults, and of course, one of mine was drinking, um, and I never wished her ill will after being sober a little while. As a matter of fact, I was very grateful that she was able to move on with her life and find another man and remarry, um, and further her career, and do the things that she wanted to do. Her goals. Um, and the other thing that's really cool is we get to circle back together once in a while. At our grandkids' birthday parties and stuff like that. And I'm happy for her um, that she's moved on in a very, very good way. But it wasn't like that in the beginning. I mean, uh, it was very bitter and very hurtful and hateful. And but again, I think that's something that happens to your heart and your spiritual condition once you get sober. You don't want anybody else to hurt or suffer, regardless of what has happened. And some people are tougher. It's tougher with some folks than it is with others. But she's a person that comes to mind with um, one of my employers. I was very bitter with them when they separated me, and for very good reason. But I walked away hating them. I mean, that was a word I used. It turns out, in hindsight, which took a little bit, that they have saved my life. So yeah, it's hard, Joe. But men in this program, God will help heal your heart, um, and find gratitude those people that they are able to move on in a good way.
No, thank you for sharing that because, I think that stuff is really important that, gratitude is not always an easy thing to muster.
No,
And there's some situations. People have been through terrible things, and I don't know how you always find the gratitude, but like you said, it's our spiritual condition that can help dictate that. Because
Yeah,
holding on to that anger and that resentment, man, that did nothing good for me. Nothing good for me.
it's so much extra luggage to carry around,
Hmm.
um, and I just don't need to carry it any longer. Now, do I pick it up from time to time? Yes, but I'm very quick and reminded very quickly to put it back down.
Yeah, I always like the saying, holding on to a resentment's like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to
Person to
die.
die. Yeah, yeah.
you know,
Not
uh,
wrong. Not
yeah.
wrong.
Uh, you, what do you do when you're just not feeling grateful, Jack? Like if there's days like that.
Well, one of the first things I do is, and it didn't come easy in the beginning, is pick up the phone and call somebody. Uh, if that doesn't work out so well, um, I'm a big proponent of people, especially new people in recovery. You need to be visible. You need to be visible. You need to be in meetings. You need to be around your people, as we're calling them. Um, and you know this any better than anybody, Joe. If something's really playing with my head or heavy on my heart, or I'm less than grateful, uh, I'll call you and say, "Hey, what are you doing? I'm coming to your house." and it'll be up to you to tell me yes or no at that point. But and I have that group of people that understand because they get in those spots too. And what I find in recovery is people make themselves available to pull you out of that rut. So
You've certainly pulled me out of that rut many a day. So, um, and that kind of comes to the next question I've got is like, how do you help, other sponsees or other people in recovery find gratitude when they're stuck? You know,
well, the three uh, the three forks here, sharing your experience, strength, and hope. A lot of folks when they're brand new in recovery, um, Joe, you and I know better than anybody. We were there. We were at day one at some point in our recovery. We were at day five. We were at day 32, and our challenges. Um, you find the similarities, between what you experienced and what that guy is experiencing. You tell them that they're not alone. Oh my God, I don't know anything about that. And there may be those instances um, where you don't have any experience on a particular issue or whatever. But chances are pretty good there's some commonality. You have to find it, and you have to kind of share your experience, strength, and hope, and and in that you're telling them how you got to the other side of it. Um, and, with the sponsors that I've had, there's no sugarcoating some of this stuff. Some of it's just barbed wire and jagger bushes, and there's no way around it. Um, and, and and you say this all the time. Life is messy sometimes, and but you don't have to clean up that mess all by yourself. There's God, there's other folks that can help you, and Lord knows we lean into people in this program when we have those kind of challenges. A good example is we lose parents, we lose well, heck, we lose people in the program, and it's difficult, and we all share that difficulty. That difficulty is the same, but a little different. But its core component is always the same. it's loss, it's sadness, it's regret, it's all those things rolled together. And once again, we become good listeners, and we become coaches if we need to be, and we remind people that you don't need to fight this battle yourself, um, and you certainly don't have to drink over it.
which is most important.
Yes.
So, on this Thanksgiving, what are you most grateful for?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm not sure yet, to be honest with you. Uh, I know that every year, my wife of coming up on 13 years, we're blessed and grateful that our house has become like sort of a lightning rod, that people gather at. And sometimes that's a curse, and sometimes it's a blessing. Um, but at the end of the day, when I was growing up, we had traditions. Um, and into recovery and sobriety, and after being sober a little bit, you get to create your own traditions, you know and it's like everybody comes to our house, and this year the cat got out of the bag that somebody else might have Thanksgiving, and there was upheaval. Oh my God, we're not going to your house, we're not going to Nana and Papa's. Oh. Well, you when you hear that, you immediately become grateful. It's like, oh, we must be the spot that everybody comes to, and we are, and we are. Um, the same faces, new people. We've had people new in the program come to our house because they didn't have anywhere else to go. Um, we were grateful to to have offer somebody a place to go uh, when they were trying to do something different in their life. It's a hard spot to be in. There's a lot of other things there, Joe, but to be able to go out and buy essentially what you want, to be able to take care of your family in the best way you can. Um, and that wasn't always the case with me. So, there's a lot of things for Thanksgiving.
Well, I can tell you, I, for one, spent many an early Thanksgiving in my sobriety at your house. And when my mom was alive, it was her favorite place to go.
Yeah.
She just like, I think you and Sonia have made us feel very welcome, of course. But I think it reminded my mom, because we didn't have family other than us here, that it just reminded her of family. And you treated her as such. You called her the matriarch.
She was the matriarch. She had a certain chair that she sat in every year, and that kind of thing. And a side note to that, Joe, is I love sobriety, and I love recovery, and I love the fellowship and of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I think what you find is they become, just like you have with me, they become family. They become, I kid around. Some folks in sobriety and in the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, I know, like Dr. Seuss, I know them inside, outside, upside down. And some of those folks I know closer than people in my own family. Um, and that's so valuable and so important, so that, we stay sober every day for me and for the other guy.
So, what what message of gratitude would you like to leave for someone who maybe is listening, who might be struggling today?
Oh my goodness. Uh, Joe, you say it best all the time. Um, you know, y- there's a couple key phrases, but the one you say all the time is "Don't suffer in silence." If you can sit down, and that, my last sponsor, David Gibbs, was really, really big on the core of Alcoholics Anonymous is one alcoholic sitting down talking to another, so that person doesn't have to suffer just in their own little head, in their own little space, all by themselves. It's such a lonely, lonely, dark place that you don't have to be there ever. Uh, you know, uh, Pull people towards you, um, especially during Thanksgiving, because what they used to have during their drinking or drugging career and everything, their landscape is going to look completely different. And it's they don't see the joy or the happiness on the horizon, but you can kind of help them in that direction. The landscape's going to look different, and you can tell them that my message is it's going to be different, it's going to be cool, but it's going to be scary. Um, and help them get there. Um, that's kind of my deal. I mean, if somebody needs a place to go on Thanksgiving Day, you let me know who they are, and I'll ship my address.
Good. Well, thank you. And Jack, you were just you I'm grateful for you. I will say this, and I don't know if I've mentioned it on the podcast before, but Jack you were one of those guys that absolutely loved me when I didn't love myself. And he would not let me go. And I'm saying this to anybody that's out there listening. He would show up at my house even when I was drinking, and I'd be like, son of a bitch. He really ruined my drinking, but he kept coming back. I remember you saying to me, if nothing changes, nothing changes.
Yeah.
And it was even in my darkest moments, I thought about that, and it made a big difference in my life. And it helped catapult me into a new way of living, which I'm truly grateful for.
Were you perhaps rocketed into the fourth dimension?
At least I may have hit the fifth. No, I was hitting the fifth before I hit the fourth.
That's true.
That was it.
Joe, I'm not going to take credit for anything, and because certainly it wasn't new material. That the things that I do for other people were the things that were done for me. And we all know that you can't give away what you don't have. And that's a reminder to me every day that, my goodness, there were so many people here that Debbie, yourself, the list is endless, that helped me along, and it's what I was taught that I needed to do or try and do to stay sober, and it's working, and I'm gonna keep doing it.
Well, thank you so much, Jack, for taking the time and being a part of the gratitude, the Thanksgiving gratitude special. It means a lot. It means a lot to me. So,
Well, thank you for having me.
You are welcome, my friend. And so a huge thank you to both my guests today, Debbie Ann and Jack O. Their honesty, their willingness, and their gratitude are reminders that recovery is never something we do alone. We grow because someone else reached out. We stay because someone else showed up. And we thrive because gratitude changes the way we see everything. On this Thanksgiving Day, whether you're celebrating with family, spending time with your recovery community, or just taking care of yourself one moment at a time, I want you to know that you matter, you belong, and your story is still unfolding. If today's conversation touched you, share it with someone who might need it. And if you're struggling, reach out. Don't suffer in silence. And a new episode of The Cup of Joe Show is released every Thursday at noon. Visit thecupofjoeshow.net, or you can listen to the show on your favorite podcast apps. Podbean, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and others. Just search for The Cup of Joe Show. Don't forget the. Like, follow, subscribe, and share, because someone out there needs to hear this today. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
It's just a laid back vibe, baby.
We hope you enjoyed today's experience, strength, and hope. We are so grateful you decided to join us. Please share this episode with someone who might need it. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. Remember, no matter where you are in your recovery journey, you are not alone. Reach up and reach out to someone. Please do not suffer in silence. Until next time, let's take it 1 minute, 1 hour, and 1 day at a time. Thanks for listening to The Cup of Joe Show.